throw a hand up if the last song we did before coming into here was 8 More Miles of Louisville. I got to get this down to who was in that class. I know Jeff Morrison, Scott, Steve, you were there. George, you were there, I think. Greg, okay. Because I think it was a Phil not there. Because there's some good ones in there. And we did review a couple of them last week. Let's do this. Oh, that's right. It was June Apple. Yeah, I still didn't print it out. I gotta make a note here. That's crazy. June Apple, upper intermediate, print. I got a note. I'm putting it on my screen. Okay, good. And I remember how we did June Apple because you guys showed me last week. Let's go ahead and start, though, with where we are. The Soul of Man Never Dies. And then we'll bring it on back and maybe catch some of these older ones before we go into looking at Georgia Mail. As I mentioned last week, I didn't want to start this session off because you guys have been off for a while. Yeah, 8 More Miles is before June Apple. And that's where mine ends. Let me see, unless it's just out of order. Because that's crazy. Oh, no, I only have 5 songs printed here. Huh. I don't know what happened. Brain glitch. We still got them coming in, boys. Ken just made it. Got 12, got 5 more on the way. Okay. Soul of Man Never Dies. Let's see if we can kind of get through this one. Let's just do it kind of slow. We don't have to rush through it. I don't know if there was anything even, looking at it that was particularly difficult. I think there's a couple measures that are tricky in timing that you don't want to rush and you got to pay attention to, which would be on the second line, third measure. We did talk about not just playing this two-dimensional song, but also when you have hammer-ons or melody notes, you can hit the next string that's available in the chord, next higher string, and start to make the piece your own instead of just the way it's written. You do it the way it's written a couple times, and then when you start getting comfortable with it, you start loosening up the right hand and swinging a little wider, and that's what's going to happen there. All right, so kind of slow, somewhere in here. Okay. How many of you started already? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, let's pick it up just a little bit. Here we go. Okay, throw a hand up if you're able to stay with me all the way through all of those rounds. Good. Well, yeah, Scott, I know you did. Okay. You know, there's a measure here that's screaming out for cross-picking. Just one that's, you know, there's probably a couple of them. Let's see. Now, you know, these I'm really forcing it into that you can. It's measure 13. The roll pattern is just that forward roll. On the 4-3-2 strings holding the C chord. But you're only going to do the first 3 beats of cross-picking of the measure, and then you pick up the 3 in the open at the end. So it'll sound like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? So if I take it from the middle, that'll be slick to add in there. I'm going to duly note this so that we did cross pick, and it's only the 3 beats. Okay, so I'm just going to put parentheses around 3 beats and put X pick, and you're just starting at the melody note. So this is my note. Let me see if I can find it here on the page now. This is my note to myself. See it there? 3 beats, cross pick. Okay, I think that'll work out real well right there. This is where I mark my 3rd section in the book. This is where we are, 3rd section. All right. I don't know that I would really try to get more in there. Now, if you wanted to cross-pick this one, you would leave out, you know, the hammer-ons for the most part, and you would leave out like the 8th note runs in the 2nd measure. Measure 10, measure 11. You would leave those out. Let's look at converting this to cross-picking, though. One thing you do, the easiest way to do this is you take your melody notes and hit it on the 1st beat of the measure and the 4th beat of the measure, which is what we did on this last line, 1st measure. We put it on if we just hit the 4th string, that the first 2 I hit there, that E, that's my melody note. And I can even shoot a quick hammer on in there, but I have to make it a 16th because I got to travel on. And then I put the rest of my melody on the 4th beat. So if I do that for the 1st measure, I'm going to do the hammer on, or let's just hit an E. In this case, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next measure, 1, 2, right? But I'm going to take that 2nd melody note and push it to the 4th beat of the measure. So I'm going to do 3 beats of cross-picking. Then I'm just going to hit the 4th beat of the measure, which is that open now. I took the hammer on. The melody note is really the 2 of the under the F chord. Okay? And I pushed it to the 4th beat of the measure. See what I'm getting at on that? And if you do that, the cross pick and roll is easy, because you're going to go dut 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 dut. You got 6 8th notes, 3 beats, and then play the next melody note. And you can do the melody note as a quarter note. Da 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 da. Let's see. over the place. So let's look at the first measure then. Let's be clear on this. If I take the first measure and turn it into cross picking, I'm going to do my roll pattern on the 4-3-2 strings, 4-3-2, 4-3-2, and then I'm going to hit whatever melody note is next, moving it to the fourth beat of the measure. That way all I have to do is hit the melody note. No cross picking. I don't have to do any intricate cross picking, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. So the first measure now turns into this. First measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. All I'm doing is hitting the fourth string open on the fourth beat of the measure. In the measure written here, it's actually on the third beat, but I pushed it over. It's artistic licensing. I can do that if I want to. So I pushed it over. Okay? The next measure, measure 2, I leave alone. Measure 3, I'm going to cross pick on the first 3 strings, C chord, and I'm going to take that hammer-on note and move it to the fourth beat. The next measure I'm going to leave alone. Measure 5, I'm going to cross pick that out and take this and just play the last open note in that measure on the fourth beat of the measure. Let's see. There it is on the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Next measure 6, I'm going to leave alone. Measure 7 and 8, leave alone. Measure 9 is the same as at the beginning. I'm going to do the cross pick and roll for the 3 beats. 1 and 2 and 3 and hit the open fourth string. Measure 10, leave alone. Okay, I'm going to cross pick the first 3 strings, measure 11, and then do the hammer on right there at the fourth beat. Measure 12, I'm going to leave alone. We already discussed 13. 14 you leave alone, and 15 you leave alone. So you have this. That's going to be slick. That's going to be slick. Okay, questions, comments? You know, I wasn't planning on doing that when I came in here, but when I played through this song, I kept hearing that cross picking on measure 13, and it was killing me. And it's like I use the expression Scott used at one point in the mandolin, in one of the mandolin class, how the measure screamed out for tremolo. This screamed out for cross picking. And then I think we can leave it alone at that point. The other thing I would like to hear is this thing cranked up around the 5th fret. I don't know if that's a good singing key, but remember in the old time Flat and Scruggs, Norman did it too, when we finished this phrase. Bam. this would be that's a good key to do that in. Either that, maybe even one higher up into F. But fool around with it. It really sounds, it's got this nice ching when you capo up there. Same as that, which is supposed to be up 2 higher. So let's just check this out. Pretty slick. All right, that was up to 7, which puts it back into key of G. Okay. Okay, questions, comments? Anything there? All right, so you got 2 ways on this now, this Canaan's Land. Soul of Man Never Dies. Great. That's really slick. I'm glad my deviant mind thought to do some cross-picking there. All right, let's put this one away. And let's go back in our reverse order. Let's hit a little June Apple for those of us that had it with us. If you didn't, you probably could have got it off the YouTube clip last time. It wasn't that much trouble. And then we'll run through a little 8 More Miles to Louisville, because that break really worked out well. And maybe we'll see if there's any cross picking in that one too. Now you know that there's a book I did, which is a fingerboard book, and you know, Mel Bay asked me to Mel Bay himself asked me to write a scales book and a licks book, and I hate both of them. I don't like a licks book because licks are out of context. If you see them written down, you see how they're used, then you can see how to manipulate them and use them and own them. But just a 2-measure lick written in a page doesn't do any good. And that's why I never, you know, Orange Star's got some book out of licks and runs. I just never did care for it. I like to see them in something and then take them out of something, move them somewhere else, because that's the way my mind works. I just don't do it the other way. Ooh, this is going to be real strong tea. Steeping for 20 minutes. But, on the other hand, I didn't like scale books either, because I don't want to spend my time working on scales. I'd rather play songs and dissect the song and pull the scale out of the song, which is what I do. And also, we don't use it, you know, we do a lot of relentlessly major things. We don't have to know that, you know, we can figure what the major scales are. And you can run your scales. Once you get your first closed scale, then you play it all the way up and down the neck. And that's what I did. I played scales for about 2 weeks and then said, dang, this is boring. So I didn't do it anymore, and that's not the way I learned. I didn't play jazz, heavy jazz, so I didn't learn modes. But I think that would be important to do if you're going to be in that kind of music. I play melodically, so I don't have to learn the modes. I didn't have to play out of modes. Okay? And this was going somewhere. Oh, so anyway, I had a book. It's called Power Flat Picking Fingerboard. And some of you may have that. And that book has a bunch of songs in it. Well, it has 7 songs. We're only working on 7, but each song is written 3 different ways. Each song is in a different key. So we're dealing with C, G, A, D, E, F, and B flat. And we learn to play in those keys at the nut, and then another position, another position. And it's the same song with different runs in it. So it runs around chord structure that's a common bluegrass chord structure. And one of the songs in there is 8 More Miles to Louisville. Which is not necessarily a common chord structure, but it's somewhat standard. When I hear this one, I know where it's going. And I did it in the key of C. I don't say what it is. I say fooling around with the key of C or something like that. Having fun on a cloudy day in the key of C, something like that. And then it would be in 3 different positions. By the time you finish about 4 songs, not knowing the titles, you've played your 5 positions that we play out of in our cage system. And then you still have more songs to go that have the same thing. So when you get through repetition, you learn your positions as well. And that one's called Power Flat Picking Fingerboard. And I'll never forget, I was at they flew me out to California to play at Mel Bay's birthday party. And I think he was 80 years old. And he had just had a hip replacement. And this was a great party. It was at one of the Disney hotels. And I'll never forget, Mel Bay gets up out of his chair and walks over to me, and I had maybe 4 books out at that time, and he said, son, I really want to tell you, I really appreciate what you've done for our company and how you've turned our flat picking around into the modern ages. And that was so nice of him. He said, and then he says, but I still don't see a book on scales. And I said, oh, this one's got it. And I could point to Power Flat Picking. That was the last one I had done, and fortunately I did that one. And you'll also, if you have that book, you'll see that there's a scale mapping out every position. And the reason for that is so you can see what chord shape you're playing out of. You can see where your chord centers are, and you can also look at the scale. So when he came over and said, well, you don't have any scales or anything, I said, no, this one does. But they're all major scales. They're all major songs. Okay, let's go ahead and run this 8 More Miles to Louisville. That's a little backstory to that book, which later I ended up doing something similar to it for Homespun, which was called Figuring Out the Fingerboard on the DVD. They both go to the same end, but come from different angles. Okay, let's go ahead and give this one a whack. 8 More Miles to Louisville, somewhere in here. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, that wasn't too fast. Who was with me at the end there? Okay, let's go ahead just as a practice one to bump it up a little. You know, it goes. I was just trying to run it in my head. You know, hearing Grandpa Jones sing this one, because this was one of his big hits. Well, 8 more miles to Louisville, coming round the bend. 8 more miles in this whole world. It's about that fast. That was about a 4. It's hard to read it that fast. All right, but that's about the speed you'll need to have it at least that speed when people are singing it. Let's bump it up a little bit. Somewhere in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Read it. One more time back up there. Did anyone stay with me there? I barely stayed with me. Any hands go up? Good. We got a couple hands went up. Good. That's pretty fast. I think that was fast. There's no two ways about that one. Okay. Let's hit June Apple. Yeah, I can set that there. Let's go ahead and try that June Apple. We did talk about last week, if I remember correctly, about keeping your hand off the strings, letting them ring out, so you have lots of overtone stuff ringing. So let's keep that in mind as we're going through this. Keep your palm off the strings. Okay. Okay. Somewhere in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. I remember what we did now. Bring it all the way down. Let's go on back. Let's pick it up. to end it, I like to do just right. So you just repeat the G. Make it real dramatic on the last one. Okay, stay with me on that one. That was pretty. Yeah, we got a couple in there. Good. I was trying to think if there's anything really you could do more to it. I used to do it in floaties, but that gets kind of good, Jim. Got a 4 on that one. That gets kind of, it's tedious. So you know, the only other thing you could maybe do here, you could do a hammer on pull off 3 to 5. So it's a 3 to 5 hammer on pull off. And then the same here. Well, maybe it's too many. Probably just leaving it at that. There's nothing really to do on the second part. Actually, I'll sometimes do something like that, but really these old-time, and this Celtic one, these old-time tunes are so strong in themselves, I don't like really messing with them. So the two things on the second part is you're just going to go dun 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 dun. And then you can drone as an 8th note the first string. I think that's about all I would really do to this one. And I would probably play through it 2 or 3 times and then go into another Celtic tune. And it doesn't matter, I found it doesn't matter really what key you do the next tune in, as I shall show you. You can go into anything. Anything really. Okay, we got time. Let's go ahead and hit one more from the past. Let's hit this Kitchen Girl because it just showed up next, and that's a real good one to medley. We probably talked about that with June Apple. Here we go. Somewhere in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. pick it up a little bit. I really like that first ending, second part. I like it much better than the second one. Okay, did you stay with me there on Kitchen Girl? A few of you. That's a great tune, though. You know, work that one out pretty hard. That's a great tune. Okay, let's go up to where we are. It's like I think you got a lot to do in this Georgia Mail, and this week with Georgia Mail and adding the cross picking in to where the soul of man never dies. Adding the cross picking in, that's going to be a lot of fun, but that's going to be a good challenge. We got that to do as well. This Georgia Mail, I think George might have brought this one up. I'm not sure. Someone brought this one up. And I'm glad you did. There's several in this set of tunes that we're doing in this. Oh, Greg did. Okay. There's several tunes in this set that we're doing that were suggestions, so I really appreciate it. Okay. Let me run it one time. Ooh, it's got some good stuff in it. I had to scan it real quick to see where I was going to fall apart. Let's see, Georgia Mail. See that engine puffing, coming down the line. That old train is wearing out the railroad line. Bringing in the Georgia Mail. So it's really... So there's our melody. That's what I'm working off of. And it wouldn't hurt for you to go and find that melody. So when you work on this, you can see what we're working off of. It's real important to always keep that stuff in mind. Okay? Let me run it kind of slow. Let's see. Okay. There's a lot of using just a second finger. For example, at the beginning, and I didn't mark it there, so you may want to mark this as we're talking about it. And we are at 43 minutes to 20 seconds in. So when I do my first 4/5 slide, I'm using the second finger. You can use a third; it doesn't really matter. But the second's going to get me actually more from a 2 to 5. Okay, so that's what I'm doing there, is using a 2 to 5. Let me get a swig of lemon juice there. Okay. Measure 3, I've got the double stops 3 and 4, but each time I played it, you saw that I did a slide into it. Okay, that's your own prerogative, but I like the slide in there. It's a more aggressive move, and it's an eye grabber. It's an ear grabber. It's like, what? What'd they do? You know? Again, from the top. You'll also notice that when I hit that second measure, I'm going to slide up 2 to 4, leave that finger down and just plant the first finger down on the 3. Okay? Then I'm really in position for the slide that comes up next. Okay? Stay there. Watch the 2 ups in a row. If you have a question where the 2 ups are, raise your hand on that. Now here I'm just bringing it down, bringing the speed down a little bit. Letting you hit 4 quarter notes to catch a breath. This is a tricky run, measure 2, second line. Let's see. You have to use some finger on the second string, and you can't really use your second finger, so you really need to get your third in there. I'll show you why, because you're going to go 3, open, 3, leaving that 3 there. Put your second finger down on the third string for the pull off to the first finger. Okay, and then watch the fingerings here. So if you want to write that in there over the second measure, second line, first 3 is going to be, first and second 3 there on the second string is going to be your third finger. And then the 3 on the third string is going to be your second, the first one's your third finger. The next one on the third string is going to be your second to first finger pull off. So it's a 3, 3, 2, 1, 2, 1. And then your fingers are marked here to keep you up in second position. Okay. Again, I'm going to get some more gusto in there and slide from 2. Leave it down, second measure, third line, just like at the top. That's a nice little lick. It really does not work without putting in the first and second string. I was trying it just to play it as a one measure by itself. Doesn't have as much as this. Alright, then you're at the end of the third line. This is where it goes, bringing in the Georgia mail. Last 2 measures. Okay? I just remember hearing Norman Blake do this one, and he probably did a lot of this rambling. He always did that kind of rambling. Norman stuff. Let's see if there's anything to do on the rhythm. there's really not much to do there in the rhythm. Just make sure you get the rhythm down. Okay, questions on that one? Jeffrey, let me open up your mic here, which I can do in this session. Yes, sir.
Thanks. I'm not a good enough typer to put this in, typist, I guess, to put this in. But on that one where you said we're going to keep we're going to use our second finger to do the pull off in what is it? I guess that's a sixth measure.
Yeah, measure 6. Yeah.
Second line.
Yeah.
We had talked once before about I have this bad habit of trying to do these push-offs like Scruggs talked about when he was doing banjo stuff. And this seems to me to be a lot easier move to do that push up instead of the pull down because it's so crowded otherwise for me to pull that second finger down.
I just don't ever push up. I just don't do.
Right.
So, see if it's going to, I don't know that it makes a difference. I just always pull down and off. That's the way Doc taught us to do it. That's the way Dan taught us to do it. It's Scruggs pushed up. But I wonder now, with Scruggs, did he push up when he hit the second string also? Pull off on the second string?
When he was going to the next lower string in tone, he would push up, he would push off so that his finger would be ready to, so like if he's pushing off from the third string to the fourth string,
yeah,
he would push off so he'd be ready to hit the fourth. In his book. I mean, I never really saw him play, so I don't know if that's what he actually always did.
Well, that's the Scruggs book, right?
Right.
Right. Well, we have to go to Bill Keith to find that out, and he's not with us now. But watch Bill Keith play, and because he, the thing with the Scruggs book is there was a lot of controversy in that. I don't know if you know the back history on that. But,
yeah.
And so Keith screwed it up, and because he wasn't getting paid for it. And then at some point he reconciled with the company and went back and made a bunch of edits. So I don't know if he may have been screwing with your head there when he said that'd have been cold because look at all the people that he screwed up when he did that to. I really don't know. I don't know that it would matter right there. I know that when I do that, I'm touching the fourth string. My first.
Yeah, I just have a problem if I'm leaving my third finger on the second string, third fret, and my first finger on the third string, second fret.
Yeah, but it's not
really
very much. It's not really doing that though. What's actually happening in really slow motion? Let's see. When I hit that 3, I've got my third finger pulled off. I don't have my first down yet. Then it goes down.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's not like it's not like I'm starting the measure like this. Right?
Okay. And that's what I'm doing, so that's maybe why it's so uncomfortable for me.
Yeah, that's because you're used to doing this.
Right.
Yeah, so try that. So it's nothing is and there's not 2 fingers down at any one time. One overlaps over the other, so that this tone rings out. And as soon as this 3 goes down, the second string is lifted, and then the first finger goes down. Let's see. Let me see if I can find the money shot here. So I don't have 2 down at any one time there, and if I did it fast. So they're not down at the same time. And if I was doing it like this, I don't know. I still wouldn't push up. Because if I had a freeze frame, that might be impolite.
True enough.
No,
I appreciate you
that's just
humoring me with that.
Yeah, it's just an odd feeling for me to go up. So I always go down. Anyone else? I'm going to mute you out. Anyone else having that same kind of issue? Jeff, you're on your own then. Does anyone else play banjo in this group? Jeff, you're on your own there, or they're not admitting it. Well, Steve, yeah, is that let me see if that is that a question there, Steve? Or are you a banjo player?
I'm sorry.
What's that?
Again, ask me again.
Uh, oh, I was just asking if anyone plays a banjo also.
Yeah, yeah, I do.
Do you do pull-offs, pushing up or pulling down?
Both.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you out because that's where the question comes in. Scruggs did it going up, and I've always done it just coming down. All my pull-offs always have a downward attack. So anyway, try that, Jeff. See if anything changes there, and no, you're not alone there, Jeff. Okay, any other questions on this? Anything there? Alrighty, I guess we'll hold it here then, gang. And ooh, I'm looking at next week's song, and man, it's gonna be great. I can't wait. And if you guys have any questions, send me an email. I'm not going anywhere out next weekend, so I'm unemployed this week other than working with you guys. So I'm here for you. Okay? All right. I'll see you in next week then. Send me an email if you got any questions. Thanks, guys. This was a good one today. I really like that. I like that cross picking we added in there. Okay. See you next time.